Hey everyone, Marcin here, and today I'm diving into one of the most crucial parts of running a photography business, client meetings. In this video, you'll learn how to confidently lead those meetings, set clear expectations, and build a strong relationship that keeps your clients coming back. Plus, stick around till the end because I've got a handy resource that will help you nail every client meeting like a pro. Let's get started. Today's episode is about client meetings. It's something that a lot of us struggle with. It could actually be kind of like scary, especially when you're starting out. And even if you have already started and it's sort of, I know for me personally, it took about good 2 years to like get it to the point where it was just kind of flowing nicely. So when I sat down with the client, I could actually control the conversation, because really when you're getting together with your client, if you're not controlling the conversation, if you're not the one usually asking questions, I know it may sound counterintuitive, but if you don't have that sort of, I call it sales script, you can be kind of all over the place. Clients will start asking questions. You're going to start answering. You're going to start segueing out of your main topic. And then you're all over the place, and it creates a lot of confusion, and confused mind does not buy. That's the saying. And it's true. So you have to make sure that you have this process set up in a very linear way. When clients come in, you build a rapport with them. I'm going to walk you through kind of how I do it here. But it needs to be a controlled conversation where even when clients sometimes asks additional questions, you can kind of pull them back, because clients usually tend to be those kites flying around, and you have to make sure you're holding a string. So whenever they're going too far, you pull them back and you get the conversation back on track. And it takes some time to kind of get there. At least it took for me, like I said, 2 years and a lot of meetings to go through. And I really, because at the very beginning, I felt like I was winging it, right? So I would just show up and wait for their questions, or it would be very disorganized, or it would be different every single time. And I don't like that. So I wanted to make sure that there's some consistency in terms of what they hear, how they're being treated, the information that they hear. And with time, the more meetings you do, obviously you're going to hear more questions from your clients, and you can basically take that as a feedback and make sure that those are all incorporated into your normal sales pitch. So by the time you're done with your client, and by the time you follow your structure, you have your agenda, and you kind of know what questions they're going to ask ahead of time, there should be really no questions for them. It could be, I have to tell you, if I have to go back my last 100 sit downs with clients, I maybe got 5 to 10 questions total on top of what was already covered in the meeting, because it's very, very repetitive. They ask for the same thing, right? They ask about the price, the package, the options, the sizing, the whatever, album options if you have them. But it's very repetitive, and you sort of learn that, and then you just solidify that, and you follow it every single time. So for me personally, I've developed this kind of method that not only keeps me prepared, but immediately builds trust with the client, and they see you automatically as this, with a super high authority, being professional, because there's really no room for them to poke holes into your model, whatever you're presenting, right? Whatever the package is, whatever the service is that you're talking to them about. So on this one, I put together some slides for you guys just as a visual. Let's see if we can pull this stuff up. And we need Chrome and meeting with clients. Let's see if this pops on the screen here. All right. I got it. And the first slide, this is kind of what I've covered already: mastering client meetings, build trust, and close the deal. Navigate the mystery of client meetings with confidence, whether you're new to photography or just starting to meet clients professionally. This guide will help you develop a method that builds real trust, because that's really what it is. Clients are coming in, they want to trust you. Like they have kind of, you know, seen your work, they have heard things, and about you, and and they are just there to kind of like, you know, validate. They want to see who's the person kind of behind the camera, right? So so they usually it's word by mouth. Very rarely clients come in that are, maybe a certain percentage that come from Facebook ads or other mediums, but mostly it's somebody referred, so they're already kind of ramped up. They kind of maybe know what to expect, and you're just sitting with them to kind of show, you know, who you are. The meeting is really not about selling, because a lot of us think it's like sale pushy. We have to like talk them into buying or something, but it's really about letting them know, you know, who you are and kind of how you run things, and just more about your personality. I think the meeting should be more about who you are really as a person, and not to kind of show that you're, you know, this magnificent salesperson. So that's really what it is. Slide 2 here. Let's just flip. Like I said, they've seen your work. By the time they book a meeting, clients have seen your portfolio, whether it's your website or your online gallery. So they have seen your portfolio online, or through referrals. Number 2, be yourself, not a salesperson. I mentioned that. The meeting is about them connecting with the person behind the camera. They're going to spend a day with you, so they want to make sure they feel comfortable. What if they come in and like you can't build a rapport? It kind of feels awkward. I mean, clients want, you know, they want to have the option of kind of backing out of that, and it's probably for the right reasons. If it's not a good match, like it's going to be uphill battle even for you to work with that photographer. Sometimes the chemistry is not there, and it's okay to say no, because the worst thing is, you know, when you're focused on the package, the money and whatever, and then you work with client, it's really kind of like, you know, pulling teeth, because not only you work with them throughout the day, it's kind of difficult, then they have so many questions, things just don't work the way they should. In the end, you don't get the referral or you don't get the testimonial. Somebody's always not unhappy, usually both parts. Like I've been there where I'm like, hey, okay, I'll try it, and I knew the chemistry wasn't there with the client, and now I know better. It's just like when the chemistry is not there, or when there's something, some sort of flags or triggers, I simply don't do the assignment. It's totally okay to do that. And then number 3, your personality matters. Show them your authentic self. They're hiring you, not just your photography, right? It's not about a product. It's a combination of things. A lot of times, I got to tell you, a lot of clients, it's hard for them to judge the quality of the work. So the thing is, they a lot of times they make a decision based on who they just met, right? So it's really important to just sit down with them and just kind of be yourself. Talk about what you do, how you do it. Talk about logistics, which we're going to talk about here, and that's it. And just let them make the decision. It's not a opportunity for us to like sit with them and try to convince them and like tell them about more options and what equipment we use. A lot of times they don't care. So it's just something that we have to remember. And slide here, the 3 phases of client meeting. So I'll dissect it for you guys here, but it's basically, first phase is the package presentation. Show brief highlight reel of your best work. Clearly explain packages, including time commitment and deliverables. So that's number 1. Number 2, logistics walkthrough. This is the where I guide clients through what to expect on the day of the engagement, and then share real examples of how events flow from start to finish. That's an easy one. You're basically just walking them through what you would normally do, or what you're planning on doing if this is something that you're doing for the first, second, third time. And then Q&A session, address questions about contracts, payments, schedules, and special circumstances. Be transparent about your process. A lot of times client may ask a question, you may not have the experience. It's okay to say, hey, I'm gonna parking this question, and we'll get back to you with the answer. I really want to think about it because I want to make sure that I deliver quality service to you guys. And it's okay. Clients will understand. Like a lot of times we think that they have some sort of an expectation. They don't. They basically want to see how you're. It's almost like in a way. It's almost like a mini interview, right? Because they get together with you. They want to see how you sort of perform. Let's call it under pressure, right? Like I mean, eventually they want to make sure that you can kind of handle the assignment, right? Because you're going to be the person taking all the pictures and directing people. So that's what it is. That's how I approach this. I have found over the number of years that this is sort of like the best model to follow. And let's kind of jump into those individually. And I can tell you, like with the package presentation, I basically start with a brief highlight. So I get there. Obviously, the first thing, it's like a quick report. Usually I meet most of my couple. I've tried both. An office presentation where I actually had a space. Clients would come in, no problem with that. You don't have to. I actually, over time, I've eliminated the office, and I was meeting my clients with in either like Starbucks, which is the most common, and then if it's like a higher end client, I would meet them in some sort of a lounge or like a nice hotel lounge, or like a restaurant. If there's like a place outside, just make sure it's quiet. That it provides opportunity to like sit down and the place where you can actually sit down and have a normal conversation, where you don't have to sort of shout to each other. So what I do is quick rapport. They come in, hi, hey, what made you look out? Like maybe there is a person that refer them. Like, how did you hear about me? What's going on? Tell me more about the wedding. Like, when is it? What are the plans? How far are you guys in? If you just ask those like 2-3 questions, people like to talk about themselves. So it automatically builds this rapport where client sees that you can lead this conversation. Number one, because they also come in. They're a little stressed. They, first time they were meeting photographer for their wedding, hopefully. But they're also like, they really don't know where to start. So they feel on the spot. And if you can take that, this pressure off of their shoulders and just say, hey, here's what I need to know, they'll be able to answer your questions. And it also sounds like you care. So they'll be able to just answer those, and you build a rapport as you're doing this. And it just kind of reminds them, why they're there, focuses them on the problem, like what is it that they're trying to resolve with you. And this way, you can mold the conversation, funnel the conversation to the product, because they're going to be talking about the sort of pain points, things they need, and your product, your package resolves that need. So I don't bring a lot of physical products to my meetings. I do bring some. I may bring some. People ask questions. Typically, so let me walk through this. So I typically don't bring albums. Most of my clients do not order albums, but a good percentage do. And if there's somebody that's interested or somebody that changes their mind, let's say originally they didn't want to, but now they want to, I would facilitate, next meeting or something and just show them, or I would connect over Zoom and just show them, and they can decide. But as far as me coming to a meeting, I usually just bring like an iPad, and so I can show them a quick glimpse into my work. Sometimes they may be evaluating 1 or 2 photographers, 3 photographers, maybe you're the 4th one. And I just want to remind them that, like, hey, here's my work. Here's the work I stand behind, right? Because sometimes they may confuse you with somebody else, believe it or not. So if let's say I'm at Starbucks, I would usually take the time. They come in, I say, hey guys, I'm just gonna get coffee. If would you like anything, water or whatever? And I usually get in line, or I put the order in, and I give them the chance to literally watch like a 30-45 second demo reel. And this way they get the visual reminder, they like see your work, so they're like all excited. It's very important for them to feel good about your work. So you don't want to just kind of spew out numbers and packages. It's always good to start on this sort of creative side and say, hey, here's what it is. They get excited, and then you get into the rest of the conversation. And And then I get into just basically explain the packages. Packages is a conversation for a different live session or recording, but I basically go in there and I explain what the package is about. This can include something about like the time commitment, how many hours. I explain who will be there. A lot of times, Joanna, like she shoots with me as a second shooter. There could be an assistant. There could be somebody that's helping with the setup. So like corporate gigs, somebody may be there in the morning, like bringing equipment in. And then I'm the only one there on location when it comes time to taking photos. So just talking about like what's in the package, and then also what products that they will receive. I'm very clear about kind of going through and explaining, like when I talk about digital negatives, what does that mean? There's also opportunity to like almost sell yourself on different options, because you can say, hey, digital negatives, they're available to your family for download in the gallery. Or when you say digital negatives, you can say about resolutions, like, hey, other photographers limit you resolution wise. Like we don't. We just edit it and we deliver it in the highest available format. It really depends on what you're going to plan on selling. Again, package and pricing is something we're going to address in a totally separate recording. But I tell them what to expect. If there is like a same day edit, depending on what they're buying, I may go through it and just kind of explain what that is. So they understand kind of the time, who's going to be there, what are the options that are included, and then I show them some sort of a price sheet. So that's the second thing I bring. It's the iPad, the package sheet, and there's another thing with some photography, like printed photos. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but they follow the pricing sheet, or if you have more than one option, they see the packages, so they can follow along. And it's a nice thing because it's almost like an agenda. You go through it, your packages, and you follow that first. I try not to segue out into like telling them what we're doing. That's phase number 2 that we're going to talk about here. It's all about package and the price. And I don't get into payments, contracts, or anything here. I basically say, this is the package. This is what you can expect to pay for the package. So phase number 2, logistics walkthrough. This is where I kind of guide them through what to expect on the day of the shoot. So I walk them through a real world example of how the day will flow from like start to finish. And this not only kind of shows experience or like your knowledge, because you may not have the experience, but you have the knowledge of what should happen sort of in a chronological order. So don't be discouraged if this is like, well, I haven't done this. Like totally okay. Client just needs to know that you're prepared, right? If they see that you have that agenda, that you have that schedule, they don't know what it should look like, but like hearing that it just removes this question mark. So it's you can have a schedule and just say, here's what things you can expect throughout the day. So, and they also can visualize their event or the shoot. A lot of times it's very helpful for the client because they say, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, like when you talk about, let's say, location of photos when you're shooting an event, or things to consider, like maybe corporate client is like, oh, we're planning on doing this here in a cafeteria, but it's all like messy and bad lighting, and you basically, when you walk them through it, it's like, oh, you know what, we didn't think about it, and fair enough, it's not what they do every day, it should be your responsibility. But the thing is, you can say, hey, we just got to make sure that it's in the right spot, that we have enough space there, depending on how many people, how is the lighting there, is it accessible, like those things go into kind of into this section here. And hey guys, just pausing this for a quick second. If you're finding this content helpful, I've got something special for you. I've put together a handy resource that dives deeper into today's topic. If you're interested, simply click on the link in the description and you'll be taken to a page to enter your email, and I'll send it straight to your inbox. Let's go back to the video. And this, again, just as you talk through it, it just shows the confidence. So I walk them through the whole thing from, if I'll use the event, I walk them through like what happens from the very first time we show up, what time, I usually talk about, there's going to be a separate episode on like how do I prepare for the event, like the day before, but there's usually a product of that is usually some sort of a timeline that I discuss with the client. So when I show up, they already know what to expect. I already kind of know what to expect. Things change all the time, but at least there's some sort of a high level understanding of what needs to be done. Um, and that is it for phase 2. And for phase number 3, it's really addressing kind of random questions, special circumstances. They may have some special requests. So now, as you can see already, we have talked about like the package and the price and what they get. Then we have talked about like, hey, here's what we're gonna do exactly from like the time we show up to when we leave, right? So they now understand both things, and now it's just random things. So those random things could be like, what about the contract? Like, when should we receive it? What do you need to put the contract together? They may be asking for payment schedule, like, oh, when is the retainer due? When is the second payment? Is there a third payment? I walk them through those options. And they may be asking, what else? Delivery times, right? They may say, hey, and depends on what your delivery depends on what you're getting them. Again, with the event like wedding, I can tell you, I may go through this timeline and say, after the wedding, within the week, you're gonna see some sort of a preview, right? Whether it's like a Facebook thing or we utilize like mobile application that they get to download. So it's a first mini delivery. Time to value, TTA, is very important in the business. So you have to make sure the clients get something. They're all hyped up. They just worked with you. They're in a good mood. They feel good about your stuff. So giving them any sort of preview, anything, it could be very, very small, is very important. So just keep that in mind, guys, because it keeps the momentum going, right? The client is happy. They're like, oh my god, like we just did it. It's awesome. I had a great experience. And then you give them the delivery, and then they come back to you like, oh my god, this is great. Like we thought it was going to take longer. So you kind of, it seems like you're over delivering, and that keeps in this journey of you delivering. Every single time you share something with them, they are going to share this stuff. So they get the photos, they get to share it online. Usually we're sharing in the social, like on a social media, in that environment, whatever the platform is, people will share it, people will like it, other people will see it, and that's how you kind of partially how you can drive potential leads and clients to your business. But you give them that, and then I walk them through like, okay, well, next thing will be, let's say, edited online gallery. And the next thing will be, if there's like an album, like, hey, we're gonna work on the album. So you get the point. And then we talk about any specific needs, like we talk about let's say corporate client. We talk about how are we gonna make sure that like people get there. Let's say I did an engagement with a company in Orlando recently where we had a sales team. And it was a relatively big team, and we just wanted to make sure that we're not wasting anybody's time. So if I had 5 minutes dedicated to working with an individual, we wanted to like bring them in groups, right? So it's just like logistics. Hey, how can we tackle that so that we don't have a whole sales team of 20 individuals sitting in a room instead of being on the phones selling, which is their job. So you get it. And with clients like events, it could be asking for something special. Maybe they have something going on before the ceremony, after ceremony. Maybe they have the first look. So those are the things where they would ask. With family, I don't know, mom's usually question that comes up all the time is like, hey, what should we wear? And then you get to tell them like, hey, no busy patterns, solid colors, try to stay within the same palette. Those are easy things that you can tackle with like Pinterest and stuff in terms of examples. So not something that even if you don't have experience shooting with families, like you can just pull examples and just give them that. So those are all the random things. I'm very transparent about the process, and I make sure, like I know, even though when I'm going through this with you guys, I know what questions to expect, and it's super helpful because the client sees that, like, oh my god, like he's got it. I can almost see, like, clients come in very often, brides or whoever, and then with folders and list of questions. And I got to tell you, by the time you're like 3/4 through the meeting, they usually like put the binder down or like put the list down. And the feedback that you're looking for is like, oh my god, like I don't have any more questions. Like that's what I usually hear at the end of my consultations. Like, you know what, you've covered everything. Like, you probably are going to mention more things that they are aware of. So that's very important to remember. Like, you're in a position to kind of drive this conversation. Um, and then also here, I basically say that, like, I want to set expectations around decision making. It's one of those things that's like in the back of your client's mind. Like, okay, when do we say yes or no or whatever? So I basically just say, hey guys, like, we're not here to make any decisions today. Like, you don't sell on the spot. That triggers this psychological way of the psychological response. First, it gives them like a sense of relief. Third, they're like, hey, this guy must be like busy. He, like, it's not that you don't care about the business, but like, you feel comfortable. You feel confident in the work you're selling. You feel confident that you're gonna get the next client. That's a huge win in, like, on client's end, because they're like, hey, it seems like he's not just like after money, or like we're not the only opportunity. So you can see this like sigh of relief where they're like, oh really, like, okay, oh, okay, cool. So I basically say, hey, listen, it's a first come first serve. You guys get to decide. You have some time to decide, and then I kind of explain, and I'll talk about it later in the conclusion how I handle that. But I basically assure them that that's not something that they have to worry about, like, at this point in the presentation. I think we are on to the next slide here. Let me switch over. Tangible takeaways. I've talked about this a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that and just show you guys this screen here. So let's go through the slide. Simple package printout. Create a clean one-page document with package details on one side and simple images on the other. However you're going to do it. Like, I give them 2 or 3 printouts separate. I print it on regular photo paper at a local store. Could be Sam's, Costco, could be Walmart or whatever. So, but they get to keep something that they bring home. Helps decision making. When clients discuss options at home, they can visually connect your name with your work. It's kind of like when it's the same thing when with higher volume, when you're doing like a wedding expo, you have to make sure they bring something home, because they just talk to 5 or 6 or 10 different photographers. And like, if your name is not on there, if you cannot link your conversation, something like a trigger, with your work, they have no idea who you are, right? Here it's a little easier because they're just meeting with you. So, but when they go home, maybe they had 2 meetings with photographers this week. Maybe they have another one coming up. Like, you want to make sure that there's something tangible, because in the end, what are they going to do? They're going to sit at the table, look at the 2 printouts, assuming they have received printouts from both, and just kind of like compare, right? So you need that trigger. Very often, photographers don't provide anything. They only show things at the meeting, and then client gets home and the only thing they have is a business card. Like, it's automatic win when you provide them with something that they can look at home. So that's important. And then brand reinforcement. Include your branding elements. Consistency builds recognition and professionalism. That's really what it is. They have to, your name, your face. I can't stress it enough. I know we tend to naturally stay away from showing our face. so it's something that's super important, because I had a conversation with a friend recently, and he basically had, instead of showing the face, he had like a little avatar. And it's like, don't hide behind it, because it builds a lot of trust. Like, we connect with humans. We don't connect with products. Or like, if you guys think about like SpaceX, like Elon is the guy, right? The guy that has Virgin Airlines, whatever his face is. But like, Amazon, it's Jeff Bezos. Like, we immediately think of a face when we think of companies, and the same thing happens here on a smaller scale. So there's so it's very, very important. If you have marketing material, please try to include your photo, and just make sure it's the professional photo. You're a photographer. You should be representing yourself the right way. So that's really it here. Um, and like I said, I give them the package and the photos so they can compare both. It has the price so they understand. I usually, on a package, I usually say something about um, expectation in terms of like time, how long they have to decide. I don't set a strict deadline unless it's like a bridal expo or something, or unless I have something like a special going on, like a Christmas special. So those things they get to take home. All right, next slide here is expectations and creating comfort. So this one, let's look at it. No rush decision. Tell clients, take your time, talk it over, and let me know. I've talked about it earlier and why we need to do that. This removes pressure and builds trust and shows you as a professional. So many benefits coming out of this one. Self deadline. I mentioned that already. Creates subtle urgency by promising to contact them first. If someone inquires about their date, I can only add here that what I typically do is I say, hey, there's no pressure, but usually, typically, when somebody, it's a one-to-one. You have to tell your client. You have to provide this sense of loyalty, right? So when they come in, it's sort of like it's a big deal, right? They're trusting you. It's a big thing for them, especially when it's an event or a wedding. So you have to return that loyalty. And what I do a lot of times is, I would just sit down and basically tell them that they have all the time in the world, but if somebody contacts me, I don't necessarily jump in and book the second client. I would do my due diligence and contact them, usually a call, text message, and say, hey guys, there's somebody else interested. It's a yes or no at this point. And so I make sure that it's part of my follow-up, and 97% of the cases, they hop on. They decide right on the spot because they know right now it's a yes or a no type of a deal. So you do set that soft deadline in place, and respect their investment. Acknowledge that photography is a significant investment that deserves careful consideration. It's just something that I mention in those meetings. And what else? Deadline I mentioned. I basically tell them like, hey guys, part of that removing pressure, I say you have to feel 100% confident, with your decision. You have to like the price, you have to like the work, and you kind of have to like me because you're going to be spending a lot of time with me. And if that's cool, like it makes you very approachable and very kind of sort of down to earth. At least that's the feedback I've been getting from my clients. So that's really what it is. And I don't think there's anything we need to add to this one. And I think there's one more slide we need to cover. As we wrap this up, be available. Make sure clients know they can reach out anytime. So I just say, hey guys, even if like we didn't cover something or something comes up, like I'm here available. Your date is coming up. It's very important to me. It's important to you. At any point, don't hesitate. Just shoot some questions. Don't feel like there's some stupid questions or just anything counts. I just want to make sure you're 100% good with like booking with me. So that's a good thing to bring up. Provide additional resources. Invite them to join your Facebook. I don't slide says group, but it's really business page. So I usually make sure that they're invited in case, maybe they're not ready on the spot to book. But if you invite them to the business page, then they can follow along. They can see the work you're posting. They can see that you're hopefully, active. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. But if you're putting something out there on your Facebook business page, that matters. Create excitement, leave them feeling informed, valued, and eager about working with you specifically. They have to feel comfortable. If they feel if they're there, they like your work. Like if they wouldn't like your work, they wouldn't meet with you. So if they're there, they already like your work. Now it's the question: will they be okay with working with you? Do they like you? And that's really the excitement. Like when you're talking, discussing, and taking them through examples. A lot of times I bring up some story or a joke, or so they'll try to be a comedian, but like just be relaxed and just have that conversation, guide them through this. And follow up, send a thank you note after the meeting to reinforce professionalism and care. I sometimes do it, sometimes don't do it, depending on how I feel. Like if there's some good opportunities that I want to be part of, I make sure I even sometimes write like a physical card and send it to them. I actually had a couple clients coming back and like, oh my God, like you just reinforced the decision that we have made, because we have never experienced anything like this, like somebody sending an actual like card through the mail. It's, maybe it's pain in the butt, maybe it's this extra step that you guys have to do, but you have to know clients like see that, they recognize it, and they certainly appreciate it. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love sharing this information with you for free. And the best way you can support me is by subscribing to the channel. Obviously, you're liking the video or leaving a comment below. Your support means the world to me. And if you have enjoyed the content, make sure to check out the next video suggested on the screen. See you there.